A former casino floor supervisor just revealed insider information about the Huff Puff slot machine that could save you thousands of dollars. This is information the casino industry absolutely does not want you knowing, and what you're about to hear comes directly from someone who spent years watching players lose money to tactics they never saw coming. Secret number 1. The hidden RTP programming. Here's something casinos never advertise, according to former employees who've seen the internal programming specifications. The Huff Puff machine doesn't have just one return-to-player percentage. It has multiple RTP settings that vary drastically depending on which denomination you're playing. Based on technical documentation that former slot technicians have shared, the penny denomination version typically operates between 85 and 87% RTP, while the dollar denomination runs between 91 and 93%. But here's what makes this particularly deceptive. The base game, RTP, and the bonus feature, RTP, are programmed as completely separate mathematical models. A regular player named Michael discovered this the hard way. He tracked 6 months of play on Huff Puff at his local casino, meticulously recording every spin, every bonus trigger, every win and loss. Well, what Michael found was shocking. His overall RTP was nearly 8 percentage points lower than what the machine's posted rate suggested. When he brought his data to a former slot technician, that's when he learned the truth. The advertised RTP includes bonus features that trigger so infrequently that most players never see enough of them to reach that theoretical return. Michael calculated he'd lost an additional $4,200 beyond what the posted RTP would have predicted. But the casino had been splitting the RTP data in a way that made the math look better than reality. And if you think that's deceptive, wait until you hear secret number 2, the blowing down feature trap. Former employees report that the signature feature of Huff Puff, where the wolf blows down houses to reveal prizes, is mathematically designed to keep you chasing something you'll rarely catch. According to internal training documents that former supervisors have referenced, the full moon symbol that triggers the premium bonus appears approximately once every 340 spins on average. But here's where it gets really sinister. The near-miss programming places that full moon symbol on the screen in non-winning positions nearly 12 times more frequently than it actually awards the feature. A player spent 7 consecutive hours chasing that feature after seeing the full moon appear just off the pay line repeatedly. She invested $840 trying to trigger a bonus that, according to former technicians, pays an average of $180 when it finally hits. The house positioning system reveals something even more calculated. According to former slot technicians who worked directly with Huff Puff configurations, the 3 Little Pigs houses aren't randomly placed during the bonus round. Internal programming documentation suggests specific algorithms determine which houses contain significant prizes and which hold minimal returns. Michael, the player we mentioned earlier who tracked 6 months of data, made another discovery during his analysis. Yet he documented 47 bonus rounds and found that houses in certain screen positions paid meaningful amounts only 11% of the time, while other positions delivered substantial wins in 34% of triggers. The programming creates an illusion of random chance, while actually following predetermined patterns that ensure the vast majority of bonus rounds deliver just enough to feel satisfying without providing actual value relative to the cost of triggering them. Secret number 3. The penny versus dollar denomination scam. Remember Michael's 6-month tracking project? Here's what he discovered when he switched denominations. Based on insider reports from former casino analysts, the same Huff Puff machine holds between 12 and 14% of money wagered on penny denomination, but only 8 to 9% on dollar denomination. A woman named Jennifer decided to test this after speaking with a former slot attendant. She played exclusively pennies for 6 weeks, then switched to dollars for 6 weeks, carefully controlling her total amount wagered per session. Jennifer documented everything: total wagered, total returned, bonus frequency, bonus payouts. Her results aligned almost perfectly with what the former analyst had suggested. On penny denomination, Jennifer's actual return was 86.4%. On dollar denomination, it jumped to 91.8%. But here's the psychological manipulation that keeps players on pennies. The denomination feels safer. You're betting just pennies, even though you're actually wagering 50 cents or more per spin. Jennifer calculated she was losing $73 per hour on average, playing penny denomination versus $34 per hour on dollars. The casino floor is designed to guide players toward penny machines. They're positioned in high-traffic areas, they're more numerous, and casino hosts specifically encourage penny play for casual gamblers. And speaking of things that cost more than they appear, secret number 4 reveals an even more insidious trick. The multi-denomination display trick. According to former slot technicians, Huff and Puff machines are programmed to display wins in credit format rather than dollar amounts during certain bonus features. A former technician explained how this creates deliberate confusion, especially for players who switch between denominations. Dorothy, an elderly player who visited her local casino twice weekly, didn't realize she'd accidentally switched from 1-cent to 5-cent denomination. The credit display showed the same numbers she was accustomed to seeing, but she was actually betting 5 times her intended amount. Dorothy played for 4 hours before a slot attendant noticed her distress. By then, she'd gone through $1,100 instead of the $220 she'd budgeted. According to a former floor supervisor, this denomination confusion happens frequently enough that staff receive specific training on how to handle upset players who discover they've been betting more than intended. The machine design makes switching denominations remarkably easy, sometimes just a single button press, while making the current denomination difficult to verify at a glance. Before I tell you what secret number 5 is, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments, what's the biggest win you've ever had on Huff and Puff? Your support helps me continue bringing insider information to light. Secret number 5. The bonus retrigger algorithm. This is the secret that got an employee written up for telling a player the truth. According to former slot technicians who've examined the internal programming specifications, the bonus retrigger percentage is drastically lower than the initial bonus trigger rate. Technical documentation suggests that while the base game triggers the Huff and Puff bonus feature approximately once every 120 spins, retriggering that bonus during the feature itself happens roughly once every 380 spins worth of probability. A player named James became obsessed with understanding this discrepancy after experiencing an unusually long losing streak. He documented 40 separate bonus rounds over 3 months of regular play, meticulously recording every detail of each bonus session. Out of those 40 bonus triggers, James experienced only 3 retriggers. But what makes this particularly deceptive is the way the retrigger opportunity presents itself. During every bonus round, you see the potential for additional spins constantly displayed on screen. The wolf appears, houses shake, and the visual suggestion of more bonuses coming feels imminent. James calculated that chasing those retriggers cost him an additional $6,300 beyond his standard playing budget. According to a former floor supervisor, his employees received specific training that explicitly covered not discussing retrigger percentages with players. During new employee orientation, supervisors emphasized that if players asked about bonus mathematics, the appropriate response was to explain that all outcomes are random and certified by gaming regulators. This is technically true, but deliberately incomplete. The randomness operates within programmed parameters that make certain random outcomes significantly less likely than others. James discovered that his 3 successful retriggers paid an average of $94 each, meaning he'd invested over $2,100 per retrigger he actually received. The psychological manipulation is particularly effective because the retrigger possibility keeps players in their seats longer. Former employees report that players who trigger the bonus feature typically continue playing for at least another 30 to 45 minutes, specifically hoping to trigger again and experience that retrigger they just missed. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about secret number 6, the sound design manipulation. According to multiple former casino employees, including one former sound engineer who worked with slot manufacturers, the audio programming in Huff and Puff represents some of the most sophisticated psychological manipulation in modern gaming. The sound intensity and celebratory audio elements increase disproportionately relative to actual win amounts. A former sound designer explained that machines like Huff and Puff use specific audio frequencies and musical progressions that trigger dopamine responses in players' brains. When you win 8 times your bet, let's say $4 on a 50-cent wager, the machine erupts with the same triumphant music, chiming bells, and escalating tones that older machines reserved for genuinely significant jackpots. And a player named Sarah realized she was experiencing this manipulation firsthand after recording her 3-hour playing session on her phone. When she reviewed the footage later that evening, Sarah was shocked by what she heard. She'd walked away from the machine feeling like she'd had a successful session with multiple exciting wins. The audio analysis told a different story. Every win above 5 times her bet triggered celebration sounds that lasted between 8 and 14 seconds. And her actual net loss for that session was $340. But the nearly constant audio celebrations had created a psychological impression of winning. Research studies on audio manipulation in gambling environments have documented that players consistently overestimate their winning frequency when machines employ sophisticated sound design. Huff and Puff takes this further by layering multiple audio elements. There's the ambient wolf howling, the dramatic house-blowing sound effects, and in the pig character voices that create narrative engagement beyond simple win-or-lose feedback. Former employees report that older slot machines without this sophisticated audio programming held players for an average of 32 minutes per session. Modern machines with advanced sound design like Huff and Puff average 71 minutes per session, according to internal casino metrics. Now we're getting to the really dark secrets that former employees say still bother them. Secret number 7. The progressive link deception. This one made a floor manager quit his job after 3 years in the industry. According to multiple former employees who've reviewed internal casino documentation, the way linked progressive jackpots actually calculate player contribution is fundamentally different from what most people assume. When you see that progressive meter climbing on Huff and Puff machines, showing amounts like $5,000 or $12,000, but former slot technicians report that only a tiny fraction of each bet actually funds that progressive pool. Technical documentation suggests that approximately 1.2 to 1.8% of each wager contributes to the progressive jackpot, while the casino holds between 11 and 13% of total wagers. Here's where it becomes particularly problematic for multi-casino linked progressives, which Huff and Puff frequently features. And a player named Robert decided to calculate the actual mathematics after speaking with a former casino analyst. Robert discovered that with machines across 6 different casinos feeding the same progressive, and with the contribution rate being roughly 1.5% of total wagers, he would need to personally wager approximately $47,000 to statistically contribute enough for a $5,000 progressive win. But that assumes he's the only person playing, which obviously isn't the case. According to a former floor manager who provided Robert with industry context, the actual odds of any individual player hitting that progressive are so astronomically low that internal casino documents classify progressive displays primarily as marketing tools rather than genuine win opportunities. The large numbers create irrational hope that overrides mathematical thinking. Robert documented his conversation with this former floor manager, Bill, who explained that during management training, supervisors learned that progressive jackpots increase time on device by an average of 34 minutes per player session. The visible meter climbing creates a psychological hook that makes players feel like they're getting closer to winning, even though each spin has exactly the same independent probability as the previous spin. But former employees report that internal profit analysis shows linked progressive machines generate between 23 and 31% higher revenue per square foot of casino floor space compared to non-progressive versions of identical games. The progressive feature isn't designed to give players better winning opportunities. According to these former employees, it's specifically engineered to keep players in seats longer while contributing smaller percentages to actual payouts. Robert calculated that based on his typical play pattern and the documented progressive contribution rate, he'd be better off playing a non-progressive version of Huff and Puff and simply saving that 1.5% contribution separately. And speaking of profit margins, secret number 8 reveals something that former technicians say happens at virtually every casino every single day. The time of day programming secret. According to multiple former slot technicians who've worked with server-based gaming systems, modern machines like Huff and Puff have capabilities that most players never consider. While casinos and manufacturers maintain that random number generators operate continuously without outside influence, former employees report observing performance patterns that align suspiciously with peak and off-peak casino hours. Server-based gaming technology allows remote configuration adjustments within legally approved parameter ranges, A former technician explained that machines can be programmed with multiple certified RTP settings, and switching between these approved settings can happen remotely through the casino's server system. What this means practically, according to former floor staff, is that the same machine might operate at 87% RTP during Friday and Saturday evening peak hours, and then shift to 91% RTP during Tuesday morning off-peak periods. A player who tracked his play sessions for 2 months noticed something peculiar. He played Huff and Puff exclusively during early morning hours on weekdays for 4 weeks, then switched to evening and weekend play for 4 weeks. His meticulously documented results showed his Tuesday and Wednesday morning sessions returned 89.4% of wagered amounts, while his Friday and Saturday evening sessions returned 84.1%. But when he shared this data with a former slot technician, he learned about server-based configuration capabilities. According to former employees, what's technically allowed under gaming regulations and what actually happens in practice can be very different things. Manufacturers and casinos defend these systems by explaining that all settings remain within certified and approved ranges. My former technicians counter that rotating between the lowest and highest approved settings based on player traffic patterns is clearly designed to maximize casino profit, while maintaining technical regulatory compliance. The psychological impact is significant because players naturally assume consistency. You return to the same machine, expecting the same mathematical probability you experienced during your last session. But according to these former employees, that assumption may be fundamentally flawed. We're getting to the final 2 secrets, and these are the ones that multiple former employees say could save you the most money if you understand what's really happening. Secret number 9. The max bet myth. Casino hosts actively encourage maximum betting on Huff and Puff, and according to former employees, the reason has nothing to do with improving your odds. A former casino host explained that compensation structures specifically incentivize staff to move players toward maximum bet configurations. When you sit down at Huff and Puff, and a friendly host suggests you'll have better chances betting all lines at maximum coin, they're following a script designed to maximize casino revenue, not your winning potential. Technical documentation from former slot technicians reveals something that contradicts what most players believe. On Huff and Puff, betting maximum doesn't proportionally increase your odds of triggering bonuses or hitting significant wins. The random number generator calculates outcomes independently of bet size. A former analyst provided specific comparisons that illustrate this clearly. And betting $1 per spin gives you identical mathematical probability of triggering the bonus feature as betting $5 per spin. The only difference is the amount you win if that bonus hits. But here's the financial reality that makes this so costly. A player named Patricia was convinced by her casino host to increase from her usual $1 bets to $5 maximum bets. Anna, the host, explained that max betting would give her better access to the premium features and improve her jackpot eligibility. Patricia followed this advice during a 4-hour Saturday afternoon session. She lost $12,000. According to the same former analyst who reviewed her play pattern, if Patricia had maintained her standard $1 betting level while playing identically in every other way, her mathematical expectation would have been a $3,200 loss. Yes, the max bet recommendation cost her an additional $8,800 for absolutely zero improvement in her actual odds. Former casino hosts report that their compensation includes bonuses tied to player betting velocity. When hosts successfully encourage players to increase bet sizes, particularly to maximum configurations, they receive quarterly performance bonuses that can add 30 to 40% to their base salary. But Patricia's host earned a direct financial benefit from convincing her to bet beyond her comfort level. The psychological tactic casinos employ is the max bet winner announcement. When someone hits a significant jackpot, floor staff make announcements emphasizing that the winner was betting maximum. What they don't announce is that winners at lower bet levels happen just as frequently proportionally. Yeah, they're just not worth advertising because they don't encourage other players to increase their wagers. Former employees report internal training that specifically instructs hosts to share max bet winner stories while avoiding mention of moderate bet winners. Industry strategy documents that former managers have referenced show that moving just 20% of players from moderate to maximum betting increases slot revenue by 11 to 14% casino-wide. Yeah, and now for secret number 10. the one that connects everything we've discussed, and that former employees say genuinely haunts them. The loyalty card data mining. This secret reveals why casinos push players' club cards so aggressively and offer seemingly generous rewards for using them. According to former casino analysts who worked directly with player tracking systems, every single action you take while your card is inserted feeds sophisticated algorithms that build psychological profiles designed to maximize the amount you'll lose. Former data analysts report that casinos track far more than just how much you're wagering. The systems monitor your loss tolerance thresholds, the exact moment you typically stop playing after losing streaks, how long you play after significant wins, which bonus features keep you engaged longest, and dozens of other behavioral data points. A player named Kevin received targeted promotional offers that seemed almost psychic in their timing and structure. After speaking with a former casino analyst, Kevin learned his entire playing pattern had been mapped, analyzed, and weaponized against him. Technical documentation that former analysts have described includes specific data points that most players would find shocking. As the system tracked that Kevin typically stopped playing after losing approximately $800 in a single session. His tolerance threshold had been mathematically established through 6 months of tracked play. Casino marketing then structured offers specifically designed to extract that exact amount. Kevin received free play promotions of $150, and knowing that players with his profile typically convert free play into an average of $790 in additional losses before leaving. Former analysts report that algorithms identify players' favorite games, preferred denominations, time patterns, and even which bonus features trigger the longest continued play sessions. An elderly woman's loyalty card data revealed she played Huff Puff every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, preferred penny denomination, and had a loss tolerance of approximately $350 per visit. She began receiving targeted offers for Tuesday and Thursday free buffets, ensuring she'd be in the building during her established playing times. According to the former analyst who reviewed her account, the promotional cost of those buffets was $43 per visit, while her tracked losses averaged $320 per visit. That's a 644% return on promotional investment. And former employees who worked with these systems report that the ethical concerns became overwhelming. They watched algorithms identify vulnerable players, establish their breaking points, and systematically design marketing to exploit those exact vulnerabilities. Now you know what casino employees know: the hidden RTP programming that splits theoretical returns from actual player experience. The blowing down feature designed to show you near misses 12 times more often than actual triggers. Yes, the denomination scam that costs penny players more than double what dollar players lose per hour. The display tricks that confuse you about how much you're actually wagering. The bonus retrigger algorithm programmed to appear imminent while statistically remaining distant. The sound design manipulation that makes $8 wins feel like jackpot celebrations. The progressive link deception where your contributions fund a prize you'll statistically never win. Yeah, the time of day programming capabilities that shift odds based on how busy the casino floor is. The max bet myth that increases your losses without improving your actual mathematical probability. And the loyalty card data mining that maps every vulnerability you have and systematically designs marketing to exploit those exact weaknesses. Casinos spend millions ensuring you never learn this information. Every employee signs confidentiality agreements. Training materials explicitly forbid discussing these mechanisms with players. The entire industry operates on the assumption that you'll remain unaware of how these systems actually function. But now you're armed with insider information that former employees risked their careers to reveal. The industry trends are escalating in ways that should concern anyone who gambles. Server-based gaming technology makes manipulation easier with every software update. New machines feature even more sophisticated psychological programming than Huff Puff. Regulatory frameworks haven't kept pace with technological capabilities, creating gaps between what's technically legal and what's ethically defensible. Former employees are speaking out in increasing numbers because they've watched these systems evolve beyond what they can morally justify. This isn't about being anti-gambling. It's about being pro-informed gambling. What gambling could be, and a form of entertainment with transparent mathematics and honest odds, versus what it's become, a sophisticated psychological exploitation system designed to extract maximum money from players who don't understand how deeply they're being manipulated, represents a fundamental betrayal of the social contract between casinos and their customers. What can you do with this information? Understand that knowledge is protection. When you recognize the sound design manipulation happening in real time, and it loses psychological power. When you know denomination mathematics, you can make informed decisions about how you play. When you understand data mining, you can evaluate promotional offers with appropriate skepticism. The house always has an edge. That's the fundamental reality of gambling. But informed players lose less because they're not also fighting against manipulation they can't see. Taking control back from these systems starts with awareness. But share this information with anyone who plays Huff and Puff or any slot machine. These tactics aren't unique to one game. They're industry-wide practices that affect millions of players who have no idea what's actually happening. I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel because I'll be revealing insider secrets about other machines and other casino practices. Which secret shocked you most? Have you noticed any of these tactics during your own play? Let me know in the comments and share this video with anyone who needs to understand what's really happening on casino floors. This is information they don't want spreading, which is exactly why it needs to reach as many people as possible.